Hi again, everybody. Welcome to the Bricks and Bleachers podcast. All things Chicago Cubs in under 10 minutes. Postseason kicks off today. We will set up the Cubs-Padres series, share what to watch for, how they got here, and take a look at other matchups across Major League Baseball. Tough to believe, but it's been 5 years since the Cubs last played in the postseason. It feels like it's been way longer than that. The COVID-shortened season of 2020, it didn't go so well. The Cubs were swept by the Marlins, and, the postseason format has been tweaked a few times in recent years, going back to 2018, when the Cubs also appeared in the postseason. They lost in the best of one, the winner-take-all wild card game, losing to the Rockies. So the last Cubs postseason win is now more than 2,900 days ago. It was Game 4 of the 2017 NLCS against the Dodgers. Let's hope that changes in a few hours. This afternoon, as the Cubs and Padres match up in Game 1 of a 3-game series, all games at Wrigley Field. That's why it's important to either win a division or clinch the top wild card, so you can enjoy the comforts of home, where the Cubs have won 50 games this season. Games 1 and 2 set for a first pitch of 3:08 Eastern each afternoon on ABC. Rosters are not yet announced. That'll happen in the next hour or two. Not expecting many surprises for the Cubs. We know Cade Horton will not be active for this series. He's on the IL with a rib fracture. 3 guys who could show up at the wild card series roster. I was trying to think of who we might see as a surprise, and then I stumbled upon an article, I think Cubby's Crib. I don't have it up in front of me, but they had these names on there as well. And perhaps these 3 are interesting. Of these guys showing up in the wild card series against the Padres: Miguel Amaya, Billy Hamilton, and Owen Casey. Now, I seriously don't think we're going to see any of these 3, but let's talk about it. Amaya being the most appealing, in my opinion. He's coming back from an ankle injury. Certainly provides this team with a lot, and we haven't been able to enjoy much of Miguel Amaya this year. But he did do some base running drills yesterday. If there's a hypothetical last man on the roster, guy who just makes it in before the cut, I would say Miguel Amaya is that guy. Billy Hamilton, he's a speedy guy. Cubs signed to a minor league deal a few weeks ago. Cubs have not yet brought him up. I thought he might get some late September action. That was not the case. But having a speedster off the bench in October would be beneficial. So perhaps he sneaks his way on to the roster. And then there's Owen Casey coming back from a concussion in mid-September. I really don't think there's a rush with him. Let's talk real quick about the finish to the regular season. Cubs won 4 of their last 5 regular season games, including a sweep of the Cardinals at Wrigley Field. If you go back and include Tuesday's game with the Mets, first game of that series, Cubs bats have really come alive during the final 6 games. Nice seeing a flash of what we saw so much of in the first half of the season. Cubs scoring 5 runs or more 5 games in a row prior to the season-ending 2-0 win on Sunday. That's especially encouraging after the drubbing in Cincinnati, where the Cubs were swept in a 4-game series. Cubs outscored 15-7. Meanwhile, the Padres won 7 of their last 8 games. San Diego has also made the postseason 4 of the last 6 seasons. They pushed the Dodgers to a deciding 5th game in last year's NLDS. So the Padres definitely have the edge in terms of recent October success and experience. More on the Cubs-Padres series coming up in a moment. This and that, our look at news and notes from around Major League Baseball. So many stories we could highlight here. I don't think I've given him as many mentions throughout the season as I probably should have. So let's mention Cal Raleigh with his 60 home runs for the Seattle Mariners. It's either he or Aaron Judge as American League MVP. I'm leaning towards Judge because it's hard to quantify the impact of a catcher on his pitching staff. Very key, no doubt, but how much? And I think with the ambiguity there, I'm going to lean towards Judge. Mike Trout hit his 400th career home run 10 days ago. Of those first 400 home runs for Trout, 200 have been hit at home and 200 on the road. What are the odds? Cleveland Guardians finished as the hottest team in baseball, at one point making up 11 games in the standings over a 19-day period as they got hot and the Tigers stumbled in the American League Central. The Guardians ended up winning the division. Cincinnati Reds with an exciting push of their own to claim the final wild card spot in the National League. According to OptaStats, the Reds are the first team in a non-strike shortened year to make the playoffs despite having no batter hit 270, no one with 25 home runs, no pitcher with 15 wins, and no pitcher with 200 strikeouts. Reds are a solid team, but when you take a look at them on paper, no stats of any player jumps off the page when you look at the Cincinnati Reds, but they find ways to win. Now back to the Chicago Cubs. Game 1 with the Padres this afternoon. Matthew Boyd and Nick Pivetta, the starters. Boyd struggled down the stretch, but finished 14-8, an ERA just under 3.25. Meanwhile, Pivetta 13-5 with an ERA just under 3. Somehow, we've gone this far into the show without mentioning Kyle Tucker, but he is back. He returned over the weekend as a designated hitter, played all 3 games over the weekend against the St. Louis Cardinals, went 2 for 4 in his return on Friday, then hitless Saturday and Sunday. I'm not sure how that calf is healing, but I'm sure that will dictate whether we see Tucker in this series as a designated hitter or as a right fielder. Padres shored up their bench and bullpen at the trade deadline. Bullpen is especially tough. I've got to say, it has to be the toughest bullpen in the majors. Mason Miller was the team's closer up until the trade deadline, and now you most commonly see him being used in the 8th inning. Sometimes he shows up in the 7th. Sometimes he works into the 9th. Since August 6th, Mason Miller has faced 74 batters. Get this, he struck out 42 of them. 9 walks, no earned runs. Cubs will need to be aggressive and score early because that San Diego bullpen is tough, and the Cubs are going to have faith in their own bullpen as well. 1 week ago, I would have said the Padres are going to take this series, perhaps as a sweep. I'm encouraged, though, by the Cubs offense in recent days. If the Cubs starters are solid the next couple days, I take the Cubs. If Michael Boyd can turn in one more gem this afternoon, and if Shota Imanaga can get back on track, I like how those games will turn out. It's not official, but I'm guessing Imanaga takes the mound for the Cubs in Game 2 and Jamison Tyone in Game 3 if necessary. Again, Cubs go as the starters go. That is my pick for this series. I don't see the Cubs blowing out the Padres in the series or in any of these individual games, although I do see it going the other way where the Padres blow out the Cubs. But I think the Cubs ultimately win this series with some close games, and that sets up a Cubs-Brewers NLDS. Elsewhere, real quick, let's talk about what else is going on in the majors. You've got the Guardians and the Tigers. Mentioned earlier, the big push from the Guardians to steal the American League Central away from the Tigers. These teams met about a week and a half ago. It was a good series then, and it will be this week too. I'm leaning towards the Guardians based on momentum. Yankees and Red Sox, always a classic. I'll take the Yankees. And then you've got the Reds and Dodgers. I think this may be the best series of them all. Reds starters are really good. Dodgers are good too. They have the experience. They have the big names, but they are beatable. I will take the Dodgers in 3, although if the Reds win this series, it would not surprise me. Your thoughts are welcome too on X. Talk anytime, Bricks Bleachers, especially Cubs thoughts, but as long as they're baseball related, we'll take those too. And subscribe so you never miss an episode. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your podcasts. All things Chicago Cubs in under 10 minutes. This is the Bricks and Bleachers podcast.